Part 3. And lo, on April 12th, in the year of our Lord 1204, the Venetians and the Crusaders boarded their ships and set off to attack the mighty city once again. As luck would have it, a huge north wind gust pushed the last ships onto the shore just as they approached the walls of Constantinople, and the boarding platform made firm contact.
Attacker! Attacker!
Doge, attacker is the other way.
Some of the Venetians quickly scrambled across, but they were cut down even quicker by the tough Varangian guards. Then a rather large French knight, who went by the name of André the Giant Duremois, was able to fight his way across the boarding platform and made his way to a tower that he overtook with relative ease.
Outen Sie! Stupid Demo, outen Sie!
Other Crusaders came flooding into the tower, forcing the Byzantines to flee for their lives. And within mere minutes, 5 more towers fell like dominoes and were taken. The Doge then called upon a platoon of Crusaders to commence attacking the city gates, while the Byzantines were kept busy trying to defend the city's harbor walls.
Attacker the gates, you crazy Crusaders!
The gates is all over this way, Doge.
The Crusaders got busy chopping, hacking, and digging at the debris blocking the gates, and before long created a hole large enough to crawl through one guy at a time. The first ones through got cut down almost immediately, but then some crazy priest got inside and began giving the Byzantines what for, and kept them preoccupied.
I can't believe people throw away such nice stuff.
Like a sea turtle plopping out eggs in the sand, the Crusaders came plopping out of the breach one by one, and were soon able to overpower the defenders and send them running for their lives. The Crusaders then flung open the city's gates to allow their Latin brethren to enter.
Ha! I broke through! I'm inside, guys! I need some backup! Guys?
Thousands of Crusader knights came rushing off the horse transport ships and charged ahead full steam from the ships straight on through the gates of the city. As they tore through, the Crusaders were mowing down everything and anything that stood in their way and quickly routed the Byzantines.
Come on, boys! Let's give these feta-bread Byzantine bastards what for! Crusader style!
Morts tried to rally the Byzantine troops for a counterattack, but when they saw the fearsome Crusader knights forming up for yet another devastating charge, they soiled themselves and fled like chickens. Seeing this, Morts then quickly got the hell out of there and went to hide out in one of his secret palaces that was far away from the action.
This is the best vacation ever! Deus War!
Worried about being ambushed during the night, the Crusaders and Venetians lit another huge fire and burned down even more of the city in order to protect themselves from any counterattacks by the Byzantines as they set up their camp inside the city's famed Theodosian walls.
Hey, buddy, you got a light?
That night, as the city burned, Morts loaded up his deep pockets with all the gold and silver coins he could grab from the treasury, and took his wife, his mom, and a hooker named Coco, and slipped out of the city in the darkness to begin a new life as a sculptor. But then again, no. Or a man who makes potions in a traveling show.
Damn! I wish I wore my cargo shorts today.
Any Greek with money or half a brain realized the city was about to fall and got the heck out of there too, taking boats, jet skis, canoes, rafts, and paddleboards across the Bosphorus to the safety of Asia Minor. The Varangians then went on a wildcat strike and refused to fight unless they got a big raise.
No, we are not stopping to get gelato because we are fleeing for our lives.
The next day, the Crusaders realized the Byzantines were fleeing as fast as they could, and there would be no counterattack. So they began to fan out across the city and perpetrated one of the most vile, brutal, and barbaric attacks known to the civilized world as they began the sack of Constantinople.
I really gotta make a pee-pee. Can we pull over?
No! I told you to go before we went peerless.
The Crusaders then went completely bonkers and began to kill thousands of Byzantine citizens that were too poor or too dumb to flee. Greek men, boys, old priests, ugly women, goats, and chickens were all mercilessly slaughtered with reckless abandon as the Crusaders tore through the city.
Hi, welcome to Constantinople, the queen of cities and...
Go to hell, you dirty Byzantine godforgetter!
The Crusaders then began raping everything they could get their dicks into. Pretty women, butterface women, MILFs, teenage girls with big boobs, BBWs, effeminate sissy boys, sexy nuns, goats, and warm gyros all endured wanton sexual assaults so crude they wouldn't even show it on Pornhub.
Oh, quit your crying. I always bring my dates to meet my mother.
I'm starting to think this guy was just bullshitting us about the free ice cream.
Amidst all the murder and rape, the Crusaders also casually destroyed priceless artworks, melted down religious icons that dated back centuries, and smashed to bits an immeasurable amount of Roman historical artifacts. They even burned down Constantinople's famous library just to roast marshmallows.
I don't know much about art, but I know what I like, and I like burning shit.
Meanwhile, the Venetians were off meticulously stealing priceless works of art and ancient relics and loading them onto their ships to bring back to Venice. You know those famous bronze horses atop St. Mark's Basilica in Venice? Yep, they were totally stolen from Constantinople.
Take them horsey statues. I want to put them in my garden.
Some historians say the amount of art, cultural, and historic artifacts, religious relics, and brilliant literature destroyed by the Crusaders during the sack of Constantinople was worse than the Great Fire that gutted the Alexandria Library, or the sack of Rome perpetrated by the sleazy barbarian Vandals.
God, I really hate when it's tourist season in Constantinople.
The Crusaders destroyed and desecrated the famed Hagia Sophia Church just for fun, and converted the royal Blackenay Palace into a whorehouse, where drunken French knights placed a naked hooker on the throne and cheered as she sang bawdy songs about gangbangs and anal sex.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower who?
Oh, Eisenhower there for the gangbang.
After 3 days of non-stop drunken debauchery and wanton destruction, the Crusaders ceased their very offensive to meet up with their Venetian counterparts at the Blackenay Palace and whorehouse in order to figure out their next move and, more importantly, divvy up the loot.
That's one for you, one for me. 2 for you, 1, 2 for me.
Hey, wait a minute here. Is you trying to pull a fast one?
I don't like your accusatory tone, mister.
Some say about 900,000 silver marks were stolen during the sack of Constantinople. The Venetians took like 150,000 marks that they said was their due. The Crusaders took 50,000 marks for themselves and sent another 100,000 marks to Pope Innocent III back in Rome as a donation to help them avoid being excommunicated yet again.
If I could count, I'd say that's a lot of the fucking moolah. Yeah.
Another 100,000 silver marks were divvied up between those that were present and doing the divvying. That means about 500,000 marks never even made it to the table, which means a lot of the Crusaders and Venetians were seeking way more than just spiritual rewards and secretly pocketed as much moolah as they could get their greedy mitts on. After splitting up the loot, the Crusaders and Venetians got down to the business of dividing up their newly acquired turf. The Crusaders took the city itself and the surrounding areas and rechristened it as the Latin Empire, while the Venetians took all the port towns to have prime trading posts and created their own dominion, the Duchy of the Archipelago. Now all they needed was an emperor for the Latin Empire. Boniface of Montferrat seemed to be the natural choice and was already a leader in the Crusaders' eyes. But the Doge thought he had way too many connections to the Greeks through family marriages and would be a liability on the throne. So they picked the innocuous Baldwin of Flanders.
Make way for me. I'm the commander from Flanders.
I didn't vote for ya! Who died and made you king?
Boniface felt like he got dissed and would have been a great emperor. So he left the empire he helped create and took over the nearby city of Thessalonica and proclaimed himself as king. A few of the other Crusader leaders saw this and were like, "What a great idea!" So they left to take other parts of the former Byzantine Empire to claim as their own.
Well, I'm glad I'm a king of someplace, even if I can't pronounce it.
When Pope Innocent III first heard the news, he flipped his wig and excommunicated everyone involved in the sacking once again. But after realizing he was now the religious leader of Christians in both the West and the East, he cooled off. And when he got those 100,000 silver marks that the Crusaders stole and sent as a donation, he said all was forgiven.
The Crusaders want you to have this. And there's plenty more where that came from.
Pause. That's a lot of moolah. Domini, Domini, Domini. Tell the Crusaders I forgive them, and they all Catholic again.
Meanwhile, all the Greeks that fled created an empire in exile, or rump state, to keep the Byzantine Empire going. Actually, they created 3 empires, one in Nicaea, one in Epirus, and one in Trebizond, and spent most of their time fighting against each other and plotting and scheming to retake Constantinople before the others did.
Help me retake the empire back again, so I can be the emperor.
Whoa, awkward. I was gonna ask you to do the same thing.
Besides the angry Byzantines in the south, the Latin kingdom had many enemies, like the Bulgarians up north and the Seljuk Turks in the east. Needless to say, it wasn't a very good time to consider traveling anywhere outside of the city walls if you were a Latin from Constantinople.
Gee, you can't even go out to get gyros without a battle.
Despite constant attacks from their surrounding enemies, the Crusaders were some real tough cookies and held the Latin Empire together for almost 60 years until the Greeks from Nicaea recaptured the city they called Francocratia, or City of Stupid French Fuckheads, in 1261 and re-established the Byzantine Empire in Constantinople.
I don't know why you's all moaning. I got blood all over my new armor. It's totally ruined now.
The results of the debacle known as the Fourth Crusade were thus. The Venetians got a lot richer and created a monopoly on trading between the East and West. The Crusaders were more like self-serving scumbags and not the pious pilgrims they claimed to be. And the Great Schism got even greater now that the Orthodox Greeks and Latin Catholics really freaking hated each other more than ever.
Orthodox idiots! Learn to submit to papal supremacy!
Catholic idiots! There's no such thing as papal supremacy!
And now that the dust is settled, let's take a look at the big board of death and get ESPN's Mel Kiper Jr.'s take on the debacle known as the Fourth Crusade. Death estimates are based on the historical fact that most people of that era were savage lunatics, blinded by religious furor, that thoroughly enjoyed killing people just for fun. The Crusaders got 1.5 sacks with offensive help from free agent Venetians last season, so with their first round pick they need to add an edge rusher to take on a bigger role. The Crusaders will also need to beef up their defensive line if they want a legitimate shot at holding on to their new Latin Empire for a while. And thus concludes the story of the Fourth Crusade, one of the most misguided shit shows in medieval history. Pope Innocent III was so bummed by the Fourth Crusade, he issued a papal bull that said, "Thanks to the actions taken by these greedy, degenerate shitheads during the Fourth Crusade, God hates all of us now. We are totally fucked. Amen, you assholes."
I hope you is happy now because we going to hell!